Speaking to me now is Chris Ware. Chris, it's been quite a while since the last time I caught up with you.
Yes.
I think actually last time I spoke to you on camera was you were getting ready for your fight. No, actually it was just after you won your fight with Frankie Borg
Immediately after, wasn't it?
in the changing room.
I think my lips were still stuck to my teeth, to be honest, at that point. Very dry mouth, but yeah, feeling good at that point, obviously.
That fight for the Welsh middleweight title, which I think was shown on Eurosport, I seem to remember. I was there ringside on the night. What an amazing fight, one of the best fights I probably ever watched from ringside. What was it like to actually be one of the star attractions of the fight?
Well, exactly, it was great, I've got to be honest. And I think everybody who was coming there that night knew it was going to be a ding-dong between the two of us. We both knew what we were getting into, and we'd had lots of sparring sessions. We'd boxed a couple of times previously, once in the amateurs, which was a very, very close fight again. I've watched it back since, and if I'm honest, which I am always, then there was a definite strong argument for maybe Frankie winning that first one, and it hasn't changed since then. Really, we've always had good fights, and we were lucky enough to do it in front of all those people for the midweight title, and it was an experience. It gets mentioned to me week in, week out, even still now. Just people I don't even know come up to me and say, "Oh, I love that fight. Yeah, it was good." So yeah, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
From what I can remember of the fight, you seem to have an excellent start. I think you put Frankie down, and then he seemed to come back into the fight. I seem to remember him landing some particularly good body shots, and sort of, I can remember around 4 or 5 around that sort of point. And then you seem to have a second wind again and managed to get the stoppage.
Yeah, it was tit for tat, and I think one of the write-ups in it was either the Boxing News or something. I think I said it after the fight. I said, look, Frankie probably is a better boxer than I was, but on that night, there was no way I was going out there without winning that title. So he probably caught me with some good shots, but again, I'd prepared for it. I had it in my mind, and like I said, there was no way I was leaving without the win.
And the atmosphere as well, that particular night in the Newport Centre was amazing.
Yeah, it was a great night. It was a really good bill. Some other good fights, but also I think a lot of people did come to watch that one because I think they knew what they were going to have, and we were always in pretty sort of action-packed fights, which and then obviously in front of them for a title, they always produce the best fights, didn't they? So the atmosphere was great. Big Cardiff following for Frankie, and obviously lots of my friends and supporters from in Swansea, which they all sort of led to a really good atmosphere and a good night. Yeah, it was good. It was great. I can't stop smiling.
And I think it's worth saying as well. I mean, there was talk beforehand of the Swansea-Cardiff rivalry, but it was an excellent night in terms there was no trouble in the crowd, none of that type of nonsense. It was just all the fighting was in the boxing ring that night.
Yeah. And I've always said, that's where it should be. That's if someone wants that bad to have a fight, then why don't they jump in and do it? That's what we were doing. He supports Cardiff, I support Swansea. There's two of us in there, and that's really what I love about boxing. Is it's just an honest sport, isn't it? There's no hiding. The best man wins. The person who's trained the hardest, generally comes out on top.
And that particular fight as well, I was there on the Welsh Boxing Awards night, and that was, I think, that was the fight of the year within the Welsh area.
Yeah. And obviously winning the title was great, but I think that was on the same level for me personally. Just when you think of some of the fighters that Wales have got at the moment, and people like Liam Williams, Chris Jenkins, Jay Harris, some great fighters. But I think entertainment-wise, I think that's what people were looking at with that fight. The fact that the build-up was good as well with me and Frankie. I think because people knew, we had some hard sparring. We had a couple of niggly ones in the gym as well, and it all adds to the atmosphere on the night then, doesn't it? And I think people were pretty much split. Like I was confident going in, but I'm sure he was pretty confident as well. And those are the type of fights people want, where we both genuinely thought we were going to win. And that when two people feel that strongly about it, it's gonna happen then, isn't it?
Do you and Frankie now? I mean, I don't know if you've seen each other since the fight, but do you share a bond now? You had that amazing fight where you knocked lumps out of each other.
Yeah,
Is there something that between you now that after sort of sharing that experience together?
From my point of view, absolutely, yeah. You know, I'm sure Frankie's the same. We've always got on. You know, we're not big buddies, like we're not ringing each other and stuff like that, but a definite mutual respect. You know, like, you know, he's a very honest pro, and you know, there's no getting away from it. He you know, he trained hard, he loved it, and you know, I would have been similar type of pro if I carried on. But yeah, we've you know, it just goes hand in hand now. Ware and Borg, I think people will just, it's, you know, if I get mentioned with boxing, Frankie's names get mentioned, and I would have thought it's vice versa. So yeah, that is nice, you know, and of course I totally respect him, and if I ever see him, you know, I'd love to have a chat with him and, you know, talk about it, I suppose, you know, just reminisce.
And am I right in saying, Chris, that you're still actually the Welsh middleweight champion?
It's a bit embarrassing to say it, but yes, I am at the moment, apparently. So, like, it's, you know, I don't class myself as that now, you know, on paper, obviously I am, but, you know, it's been a long time now. I've been inactive for a while. You know, it's there for someone if they want to come and get it. I'm not calling anyone out, but I'm saying, you know, that as far as I'm concerned, that title's there for two people to challenge, like, you know. So, I'm done here.
Immediately after the Frankie Borg fight, which was, you know, an amazing performance by yourself, a lot of people they weren't sure if you had that type of performance in you. People are sort of thinking, right, where does Chris Ware go next, boxing wise?
Yeah.
And then you sort of, as you mentioned, you sort of withdrew from the boxing scene.
Yeah. Injuries, time, family. You know, I love boxing. I think about it every single day. I genuinely, you know, obviously it's my job, innit? I'm throwing punches left, right and centre all the time. But to give that dedication, that time, that, you know, focus to something is a massive commitment, and people don't realise, you know, I love boxing, but I don't love it as much as I love spending time with my family. I don't, you know, I started my business, I want to see that through. You know, you've got to be wholeheartedly, you know, totally dedicated to the sport. You can't mess about with it. It's just, you're not really doing it justice. And there was a couple of, you know, a couple of instances sort of rolling up to that. And I remember one, well, actually, I was fighting Frankie again on that short notice 4-rounder, and it was my son's Christmas concert. We had the phone call in the morning. That was on the Friday. They said, "Do you want to fight in the night?" And I was thinking, flip, I got his Christmas concert. It was coming up to Christmas, so it was a couple of quid as well. I thought, right, that would come in handy for the fight. So I said yes to the fight. I literally drove to Porthcawl, poked my head in my son's Christmas concert, gave him a little wave on the stage so he knew I was there. Drove down to Bristol. Sitting in the change rooms, I was thinking, right, I've missed my son's concert. I got a bad neck, a bad elbow, and a bad hip, and I'm jumping in the ring with the Welsh middleweight champion. And, you know, you sort of start thinking then, right, what are you actually playing at, like, you know? And don't get me wrong, it worked out well for me on the night, but it's little things there. And when those doubts start creeping in, you know, immediately after that Frankie Borg fight, my neck was terrible. Went to see a specialist, like MRIs and stuff. He seemed to think there was a bit of contact on my spinal cord, which there wasn't. He said, you know, you can carry on, you know, there's no immediate damage, but even my hands, you know, it's wear and tear in it. You know, what people don't realise is, although I didn't have lots of fights, you know, my body's taken a